Hi, I'm Hazel, and you are about to be so up to speed. This video is all about the Portal Keeper Hazabel fight on normal and heroic difficulty. Hazabel is basically the Legion traffic controller, and we're about to get all up in her crosswalk. You fight her on this main platform, and throughout the fight she'll power up portals to various worlds, or more accurately, smaller platforms. You get a fire portal at 90%, a fell portal at 60%, and a shadow portal at 30%. Each one will have a themed boss that needs to be dealt with ASAP, and somebody must be on the main platform at all times or else everyone dies. The first thing that you'll be dealing with on the main platform is Reality Tear and Bursting Darkness, aka the tank mechanic. Reality Tear is a 30-second dot which will stack, and then explode for raid damage when allowed to expire. The more stacks, the bigger the explosion. She does it every 12 to 14 seconds, so you generally want to swap on about 3 stacks. Healers should be ready with raid heals if it stacks up much higher than that, which it might once we get into all the portal business. Collapsing World goes under the boss, looks like this, and it's impossible to miss unless you're actually watching Netflix. If that gets ya, it'll do big damage and potentially knock you off the platform, which would be deeply embarrassing. It's even got a cast time so you can see it coming and start moving away from the boss. Fellstorm Barrage is the other super obvious ground mechanic. Over about 10 seconds, these big green fire lines will spawn and then explode. Those also do knockback and hurt like heck, so keep moving to the safe corners until it's over. She'll also cast Transport Portal, which summons ads designed specifically to annoy you. There are spiders which will web you, making it harder to avoid the last two things that we talked about. There's Fell Dogs which do a Fenrir-style interrupt howl, and then Imps which on normal don't do much of anything. On Heroic, the Imps cast Fiery Detonation, which can be interrupted and is just gnarly if you don't. If a couple of those get off, your raid is literal toast, so keep an eye on it and kill the ads quickly. When Hazabel reaches 90% health, she'll power up the fire portal Zoroth. Note that you can go up to any portal at any time, there just won't be anything there if it's not active. While the portal is active, there will be a boss inside, and the main platform players will take raid damage until it's dead. All of the portals have this unstable portal mechanic, which means that bad things happen if the boss stays up for longer than 45 seconds. You want to send half or more of the raid, including a tank and a couple of healers, through the active portal to deal with it. Inside Fire Portal Zoroth, you'll find Volcanar. He casts Flames of Zoroth, which is kickable and has a 10-yard radius. Don't be closer than 10 yards unless you need to be, and set up a kick rotation if it starts to be a problem. He'll also toss out Supernovas, which you should move out of unless you feel like taking a bajillion damage. While all that's happening, you'll see these ever-burning flames around the floor. Touching one makes it stick to you for 10 seconds. When the dot ends or is removed, the flame falls back onto the floor. A few players need to pick up a couple of those and actually run them into the purple portal for later. Drop them along the portal side of the shadow platform, and then head back to rejoin the fight. At 60%, Hazabel powers up Fell Portal Rancora. Inside, you'll find Lady Decidian and her poison essence, which will immediately chunk everyone for 10%. She casts Fell Silk Wrap, which webs players indefinitely until the web is destroyed. Those don't have a ton of health, so anyone can swap to help break out their friends. Instead of flames, you'll find this caustic slime goo on the floor on this platform. Touching that does damage over 20 seconds, and removing it triggers a caustic detonation. That's a painful 10-yard explosion that apparently can be used to remove a stack of Aegis of Flames. I'm gonna be really honest with you, I have dug through this fight and nowhere do I see any mention of an Aegis of Flames. However, should one turn up, you can take it off by dispelling a goo debuff within 10 yards of it. Whether you have this slime on purpose or by accident, make sure that you're clear of other players when it gets dispelled so that you don't clip anyone with your caustic detonation. At 30% health, she'll open up the final portal to the Shadowland Nathreza. Lord Eilgar is the boss here, and things will be very, very dark. Moving within 35 yards of Eilgar will apply the Delusions debuff. That lasts 10 minutes, prevents all outgoing healing and absorbs, and restores 2% mana per second. It's dispellable, so if mana is tight at this point, healers can deliberately rotate taking the debuff and then dispelling it off each other. Otherwise, healers need to stay at absolute max range or else you can't heal. To complicate that, it's very, very dark. Mind Fog means that visibility is awful in here, which means at max range, you can't actually target your friends to heal them. To counter that, healers and probably range should stand within 10 yards of the ever-burning flames that we dropped earlier. Problem solved. Eilgar will be stacking Corrupt on players within 20 yards of him, doing damage and stacking a nasty debuff on them. To make that even more fun, players that step into the heart of the platform will get Cloying Shadows, taking 50% reduced healing for 30 seconds. If your raid failed to bring in flames like we did and your healers can't heal, you are absolutely going to lose people here. When Cloying Shadows ends or is dispelled, it triggers an 8-yard Hungering Gloom explosion. Hunger and Gloom won't actually affect the exploding player, but anyone within 8 yards takes big damage and can't be healed for a while, which will make them very cranky with you. Spread out with the Cloying Shadows, and be really mindful as a healer to not dispel someone before they've moved into some clear space. All things considered, the purple platform is super gross, and it's a valid time to pop cooldowns just to get done and out of there. Back home on the main platform, the entrances of each portal will be doing an area damage starting from activation and lasting until the end of the fight. Be careful not to wander into that while avoiding the Collapsing World and Fellstorm barrages. This is high movement, the fight, and it's very much about watching your feet. So that is Portal Keeper Hazabel in Antorus the Burning Throne. If this video helped you out, please consider giving it a thumbs up. Check out my channel and subscribe for more raid guides and other useful WoW videos. Thanks for watching, have a great time in raid, and a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye!